Good evening, everyone. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science. Welcome to our self-healing class, which is our Louise Hay class, based upon the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It's wonderful to have everybody here on this very large Zoom call for our self-healing class. I'd like to mention that we meet here 3 times a week. Every Wednesday, we have a creative living series hosted by James here, our practitioner at First Church. Thursday, tonight, we have the self-healing class, and then every Sunday morning at 10:45, we have a meditation and a new thought lesson that follows. So I'm glad you've chosen to be a part of our gathering this evening. We try every week to create a wonderful healing space for everyone. After every gathering, we have some time for personal sharing. So stay tuned. Some people really find that to be even the best part of the service, because you're able to then talk about what comes up for you in the lesson. So we look forward to hearing from everyone. Again, this is our Thursday evening Louise Hay gathering for anyone just signing in now. This is an ongoing self-healing class where we focus on the transformative power tonight of letting go and healing, self-healing. Everything we do at First Church is on a love offering basis. So that means you're welcome to come and join in and learn and grow with us at no cost. Some of you really want to support the work we do and the outreach that we have. And we've grown quite a bit in recent times. And you're able to support us by going to the chat room, where there's a variety of options. If you'd like to send a check to the church, you can do so. The address is in the chat too, I think. All our programming is saved on YouTube and Facebook, so you can get our meditations, you can get our repeats of our Sunday lessons, Thursday self-healing classes. It's all there 24 hours a day. It's a great place to go if you want to hear a meditation or just listen to a lesson again. I know there have been many times in my life where I was listening to, those days it was the cassettes of these very lessons over and over again. So it's there for you. There is no charge. So let's get into this evening's topic. We're talking about the power of letting go and healing. Letting go isn't just about releasing judgments and hurts, as we know, or old hurts, resentments. It goes a little bit deeper. It goes a lot deeper. It's about letting go of limiting ideas, the ideas that have been passed on to us from the time we're children, in our families, the beliefs we've acquired along the way through our interactions, the things that have happened to us. Life has a way sometimes of, we go through things and we get hurt and we get calloused over, so we want to let go of anything that's lingering within us, any limiting belief, or behaviors. Now maybe we're defensive in different ways because of things that that's happened to us. So I want you to think about letting go of any behavior or ways of thinking that just have long past time. It's time for us to let go. They don't help us anymore. Maybe we don't need the protection that we thought we did with those beliefs. So this is an evening, a moment where we think about letting go of anything, all things like that don't serve us in any real way any longer. So this is about releasing our resistance. Yeah, that's a word. Wherever you notice that you are in resistance to change. You've heard people before saying, gee, you could try this or you could try that. There's people in your life, I'm sure, and in mine over the years, who tried to get my attention. So maybe we have been in resistance. Is there any place in you that you know that you're a little bit resistant, that you might be able to think about moving some energy and just being open to change and letting go of some of these things that we resist? A lot of us are weighed down in different ways today, this day and age, worries that are beyond our control. Everywhere we go, there's people who are talking about their concerns about money, about the increase of prices of daily goods. There's a lot of concern and worry about the economy, worry about the future, worry about lately the future elections. And so all this worry, all this concern, and it's very easy to feel overwhelmed by fear when we ourselves feel uncertain. So Louise taught us worrying, she said, doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. It takes away today's peace. That's such a wonderful statement from Louise. Worrying doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. It will take away today's peace. So let us be resolved to release any worry. We don't need to take away today's peace. When we cling to worries, we block the flow of peace and possibility in our lives. You won't be able to recognize the good that's here if you're caught up in thoughts of worry. An example, if you think of someone who constantly stresses out about their financial situation, they'll replay those same anxious thoughts like an old loop. We talk about an old tape. They automatically go to worry thoughts like, I don't have enough, or will I have enough? Will I be secure, next week, tomorrow, in my retirement? And they'll, by default, go to those worry thoughts over and over again. This kind of fear and questions like these, if you do the what ifs, well, what if this happens, and what if that happens? What if the political outcome is this? What if what if the whole world happens? Because they go to the worst case scenarios, or all of that stuff. If you do that, then worry is becoming your constant companion. And it drains you of your energy. It drains you of your optimism. It drains you of your focus. I used to remember my father always talking about my grandmother, who was a constant worrier. And he would say, your grandmother wouldn't be happy if she didn't have something to worry about. Of course, that wasn't true. But all that worrying that she was constantly doing, it has to be draining energy and your focus and your sense of optimism. And it takes away so many precious moments of joy that, they could be yours. You hear me say week after week, that quotation, I could see peace instead of this. Loving yourself is training yourself to see the good, and learning to love yourself enough to see the good instead of the old tape, the old story. And despite all the things that we talk about, these are patterns that live within people. And our work and our teaching, which involves self-healing, is to get a handle on that conversation. So on with the lesson. So despite all the worrying we do, nothing changes. Worrying will not change anything. It won't bring you anything good. In fact, the more people worry, the more they feel stuck in the same situation. They're unable to see opportunities that are surely there. You'll hear me teach in many lessons, the kingdom of good, or God is at hand. You'll hear it in other books that I quote from, the Course in Miracles, which is miracles are natural. This expansive living is natural. When you're not experiencing it, something has gone wrong. And all that is to suggest is your focus is on the worry, or on the what you perceive to be the lack or the limitation. So if you're focused in that area, you're going to miss out on your opportunities for growth and expansion. So this is where the act of letting go becomes so important and powerful. When we release these worries, we will create space for solutions. Spirit's always there, attempting to get your attention, by the way. It's an active presence within all of us. And we snuff it out. We get too busy to listen. We just tune it out. But as we learn to slow it down a little bit, slow down, you move too fast. When you learn to slow down and take that pause and do a little bit of meditation, or perhaps an affirmative prayer with some pauses, when we learn to inquire within, Spirit will be there. You have an internal guidance system that's always, again, wooing you, attempting to get your attention if you will listen. So we ourselves are the ones who stop the flow of abundance and peace in our lives. But here's the truth. We have to admit this part. Letting go is not always the easiest thing to do. So I'm the first to say that. But it's really important to be mindful and to engage in the process. Louise would say, maybe you're not willing yet, but let's pray for the willingness, because we got to get past some of these boulders, if you will, that are in the way. Ernest Holmes would describe how we carry around a lot of ancient hurts, old grievances, and these ancient hurts weigh us down. If you think like an anchor on a ship, it weighs the ship down, it stops it from going forward. So even though letting go isn't always the easiest thing to do, and forgiving isn't always the easiest thing to do, it's probably the most important thing for us to do, because when we get to the point where we can let go and we can forgive, it helps you more than you could ever calculate, because no good comes from holding on to this stuff. It hurts only yourself. So in fact, one of the most common forms of resistance we face is the resistance to change. We all know that. We talk about it practically every week. We say we want to heal our lives. We say we want to heal. We say we want to release the past. But when it comes time to actually doing that work, resistance shows up. I'm going to postpone it. We know we ought to do it, but then somehow, some way, many of us don't. There is a 12-step program which says, resistance dogs my every step. So I don't know what it is which stops people from moving forward, except I do know that part of the way that we do it, there's another slogan, which is, willingness is the key. In fact, the exact quote is, willingness is the key that opens every door. So when something comes up and you become aware of it, it comes to you through spirit, or it comes to you you get the message through lots of different people. You know that it's time for you to deal with something. Willingness is the key. And for everyone I can think of today, I hope that you have that willingness, because what you're wanting to move out of your way in the end is really a bunch of nothing. But it seems like a big deal. I realize it. So understand with me, willingness is the key, and we want to pray for the willingness to be a little bit fearless, to move through some of these things. So when it comes time to actually do this, there might be a little bit of resistance, but stay the course. That's why I say every week, tune in here, get in the habit of tuning in here, because we're going to tell you every week how wonderful you are. We're going to remind you of the power you have to heal your life. So tonight I'm saying willingness is the key. When it's time to do the work, don't be surprised if there's a little resistance. It might show up as a doubt. There might be procrastination. You might find yourself holding on to an old habit because it feels familiar. And sometimes we hold on to things that cause us pain. This kind of resistance arises from fear of the unknown, or what it would look like if you actually did that, how the relationship might change, how everything might change, or a fear of what life might look like if we let go of, again, what's familiar. And even when we're uncomfortable, sometimes we're fearful of making that next step. But as Louise Hay taught us, the point of power is always in the present moment. So we have a glorious opportunity in any new moment to change, to see the good instead, to see the possibility of something different in any new moment. So when we resist letting go of anything, we are clinging to the past, or we're fearing the future. We're doing that rather than embracing the power that you have right now. Right now, you could change it all. The point of power is here and now, and you have that power. Right now, many people are experiencing resistance in response to, okay, right now it's an election. They're feeling restriction and all caught up in social conversations, division, and all that stuff. We're living in a time where there are deep concerns about the leadership of the nation, about the future of the world, the future of our country, the state of the country. It feels like we're living in a time where we're constantly bombarded by fearful scenarios. We're uncertain, and many people are living with a sense of helplessness. So we see resistance everywhere, resistance to different points of view, resistance to different solutions, and sometimes even resistance to the idea of healing itself, like we get dug in. We're unable to see the other side of the coin or even have any discussions. But Louise Hay informs us, guides us here too. She'll say holding on to any of this stuff, the fear and all of it, drains us of the peace we're seeking. Remember always, you can see peace instead. You don't have to be seeing division. You can understand that we're one people. We can understand that there is one love, that there is one energy we all share. You can always bring yourself back to the truth and let that inform you and bring you peace. So letting go of any and all of these ideas doesn't mean you ignore what's happening anywhere. You're not ignoring what's happening in your relationships, your families. You're not ignoring what's happening in the world either. It means we refuse to let fear dictate our actions and create division within ourselves or within the people that we know or in the world itself. Again, we refuse to let fear dictate our actions. It means trusting that positive change is taking place, and it always begins with us. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. It always begins with ourselves. And knowing that each and every one of us will make a difference, do make a difference. We are points of power within the mind of God. We have awesome power. Life responds to us. So it begins with us. Let's take a moment and affirm our ability to release both our worries and the resistance that we had that keeps us from healing. I invite you now to repeat after me a few affirmations. The first, I release my fear of the unknown and I trust in the process of life. Again, I release my fear of the unknown and I trust in the process of life. And next, I let go of resistance, any resistance, and I open myself to healing and growth. Again, I let go of any resistance, and I open myself to healing and growth. Another, I release my worries, I release my concerns about the future, and I now embrace peace in the present moment. I'll repeat it. I release my worries, my concerns about the future, and I embrace peace in the present moment. I have another. I trust now that everything I need comes to me in the perfect time, in the perfect way. So that's a great one. I trust everything I need is coming to me in the perfect time and way. I'll give you another. I let go now of what no longer serves me. I let it go and I make space for new possibilities. I let go of whoever no longer serves me, and I make space for new possibilities. So pick one or two that you like, that you can keep, or you can always go back and listen to these. And as you speak these affirmations to yourself, feel yourself releasing the grip of fear. As you say these affirmations and releases, let yourself feel the release of the grip of fear and resistance. And imagine yourself stepping into the flow of life. You see yourself radiant, confident, stepping forward, free from the weight of worry. Here's a question or two for you to think about. Where in your life, if there's any place is there any spot in your life where you're experiencing resistance? Where you know people have made suggestions and you even thought about it yourself, but is there any area of your life? Is it in your work or your relationships with your parents or your friends, children, Is there any place where you're experiencing some resistance to change? If so, just make a note of it. As Louise would say, we're not doing this to judge ourselves. We just want you to be aware if there's any area in our life where we are experiencing any form of resistance to change. Maybe there's a belief or a habit that you have, something that's familiar to you that's keeping you stuck. Is there any place in your life where you feel that you're somewhat stuck? What is that? What comes to mind? The next question I have for you is, how would your life change if you let go of the worry? How would your life feel if you let go of the thing that was bothering you and embraced peace, complete peace? What would that be like? And thinking about the things that maybe you worry about, how would your life change? How would you imagine it would change if you let go of the worry and you embrace peace? Is there a place where you know there's resistance? Are you resisting something that's happening in the world, in your community? How are you resisting, if you are, what's happening in the world right now? Doesn't matter if it's political or social or some form of change. Is there something within you that's resisting what is? So my question there would be, what would it feel like right now to release the worry about any of this? The country, your town, what's going on in your very family? What would it feel like to release the worry and concern about any of these things that are going to be in the future or might be in the future? What would it feel like to release all of that right now? What would it feel like to instead trust that you have the power to contribute to positive change? What would it feel like if you absolutely knew you have what it takes? What would it be if you absolutely realized that you are supplied and supported and you have what it takes no matter what happens? Because you know you're one with the one. You know you're infinitely supplied and supported. Louise often said, to heal, we must be willing to release the past and forgive. Again, she said, to heal, we must be willing to release the past and forgive. Our teaching is the core of her work, and it's what we're always exploring. Louise Hay and Raymond Charles Barker, all the people I usually talk about, were instrumental in the New Thought movement. Before them, Emma Curtis Hopkins was often called the teacher of teachers. She was thought to be one of the greatest leading figures in New Thought. Emma deeply believed in the power of conviction, and she said, your conviction determines your destiny. So when we make our affirmations, we want to bring them to a deeper place. We want to take them in. We want to feel the words, because that'll be the thing that will move the mountains. So again, Emma Curtis Hopkins powerfully stated many years ago, your conviction determines your destiny. That's a good line to remember. The beliefs you hold dear, the beliefs you hold true, whether about money, relationships, the economy, world peace, the political situation, your beliefs, your conviction determine your destiny. You might not shape the outer world, but you're definitely shaping your own inner world. When we're convinced that life is hard and difficult, or if you're convinced that you don't deserve anything good, you create a reality that reflects those beliefs. So every thought you think is creating your future. You've heard that quoted 1,000 times from me by Louise Hay. When we choose to hold beliefs of love, no matter what, when we choose to be a bearer of light, Bill Tolliver used to say, we are lifters. Religious science, New Thought students are lifters. We're here to lift. When you choose to be that person who sees the God, the good, if that's your preoccupation, if that's your purpose, if that's your avocation, to see the God or the good, that's what you're going to see. And because you're a truth student, you realize that you live in this divine energy. You move in it. You have your being in it. So you want to train yourself to see it. And the more you train yourself to see it, you're becoming it. You are one with it anyway, but you're becoming aware of it. And you're putting on a new pair of glasses, which is another book by Chuck C. It's many of these ideas and books come from many people. It all comes together for me in a central idea. We're here to know that we're one with the one. We live in it. We move in it. We have our being in it. We're here to get the junk out of the way, the BS, the belief system, the racket, all the things we talk about in so many different ways from so many different sources, really saying the same thing. Louise Hay echoed this all when she said, every thought we think is creating our future. So when we release limiting ideas that we've been holding on to, and when we release limiting beliefs, we open the door. We have the willingness that opens the door to everything when we release all of this stuff. I once worked with someone who was constantly saying, I'm not good enough in one way or another. And I don't know if they fully believed they weren't good enough, but it was affecting their self-worth. And this is a person I got to know very well. They were so critical about themselves and critical about everybody. It was really difficult spending time with them. And I do remember, I was younger, I was up for this more. I would challenge them a little bit whenever I heard the negativity. And eventually, because they were a little open-minded too, they replaced that dialogue quite a bit with more positive information. I was always talking about them. They were in my inner circle. And their life did change. It was really quite remarkable. Eventually, they attracted healthier friendships, a relationship, which I never thought would happen with them. And new opportunities started showing up. Why? Because their consciousness had changed. If you keep on working on that inner dialogue, every week I ask, what's it like being you? When you keep on having the willingness to trade in the lesser idea for the greater, and you operate from a higher place of understanding, you're elevating your conversation, then your life reflects that more elevated consciousness. I know many of you in this class are doing this kind of work and you are leveling up all the time, and you're not in what I call the mix, the back and forth, the reaction to everything. So we teach you could see peace instead of anything, right? So more and more you're lifting yourself out of all of that. So let's continue on here with the lesson with a couple more ideas about releasing old, limiting, and critical thoughts. Critical thoughts. Louise Hay once suggested that we ought to throw the word should in the garbage can. It was her least favorite word in the English language. And not use it, at least in our interpersonal relationships. And again, she would prefer you remove it from your vocabulary totally and any of its synonyms. So these critical ideas, should, right? Should be this, should do that, and all of that. So what goes along with that, we can start releasing the belief that I'm not enough. You can proclaim, I'm worthy, I'm successful, and I deserve happiness. We can let go of limiting thoughts, all these shoulds, and we can begin to embrace our true potential without criticism. We can release denial, and we can step into power. You can say, the affirmation I wanted to say was, I can release denial and I can step into my power. You could say, I'm open and receptive to change. There's a phrase that I jotted down for this lesson, which we use in religious science, which is called the train of causation. Ernest Holmes, our founder, taught life is a mirror, and it will reflect back to us. Will reflect back to the thinker what he or she is thinking into it. And this is what we call the train of causation. It's the idea that our thoughts shape our reality. So if we're focusing on fear, scarcity, and limitation, if this is what goes on inside of us, then it shows up in our lives. But if we turn it around, we focus on love, abundance, and trust. We trust the process of life, truly. If we do that, if we're coming from that place of connection, then miracles start showing up in our lives. They naturally are reflected back to us. The kingdom is at hand, miracles are natural. Same idea. It's always here and available to us if we turn to it. If we turn to the Father within, you know all the metaphors, the Father comes rushing to us. So we have the power to, just like a light switch, to be in that place of connection because we are one with it. You're inseparable from it. So I just keep reminding you of that. I had a friend who was constantly worried about money. I'll spare you the whole story, but this particular character was very talented, very funny, but so negative. And part of my closer social circle at a time, and always, working in business, worried about money, the cost of prices rising, everything was a problem to him. He believed in scarcity to the point of ridiculousness. And I remember passing on to him many of the things that came from my father when he was talking about the problems. I would say, well, this is an exciting challenge. I said, you're up for this. There is that which is within you that knows. And that's true for all of us. And eventually, after a couple years in different kinds of support groups, he began repeating some of these things, which essentially came directly from Louise Hay, Ernest Holmes, and he made a shift in consciousness. And I was happy to see what he was doing financially. His business started to improve, his relationships improved, opportunities began to show up. Customers that would not show up before because he was so negative were in his life. And he started to feel supported in ways that he had never imagined. So this stuff works. Healing is possible. You can heal your life. There's a reason 65 million people or more have purchased the book, You Can Heal Your Life. So listen to it, practice it. Many of you, I have one or two more things, have read or know of at least Bernie Siegel, Dr. Bernie Siegel. He's a world-renowned surgeon, and he was an author that made a big contribution to holistic healing. He's perhaps best known for his work with cancer patients. And his teaching basically was that true healing is not just about physical healing, but it involves aligning your spirit, again, your mind and your body, your spirit. He said, healing is about making yourself whole. So it's not just about taking a prescription, it's a whole deal. Louise Hay knew it completely with all of her medical history. She said, if I don't get at the inner patterns, she says, there's only so many parts, she had several surgeries. So she knew I need to get at the underlying pattern that's within us. So Siegel said, healing is about making yourself whole. And that's what we attempt to do week by week. When we learn to release the blocks, the fear, the guilt, the old beliefs, the old tapes, when we do that and we really truly do it, we're opening the door to true healing. And we're opening the door to healing on several levels, many levels perhaps. I know everybody on this call has been doing some work, or doing what I call the work on themselves. And you want to let go of anything that gets in the way of you going forward. I absolutely know that. So I'm going to read a poem to you that I think I've read twice in 2024. It speaks to the power of releasing and simply letting go. So I know you've heard it before, but I also know many of you like it. So here it is. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the opinions swarming around. All the opinions swarming around her head. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't need approval. She just let go. Letting go is a simple yet powerful act. When we stop holding on, we free ourselves to receive. As we begin to wrap up tonight's lesson about letting go and healing, let's recap what we've explored together. We've talked about the power of change. We've talked about the power of letting go, not just of old hurts and grievances. We've talked about the power of letting go of limiting beliefs, the power of letting go of denial. Louise Hay taught us that every moment is a new opportunity to let go and to move forward. So I ask you, what are you holding on to that you're ready to release? What came to mind tonight? How would your life change if you let go of fear and you embraced self-love, if you embraced trust? how would your life change? What new opportunities could you imagine could happen? What new opportunities could arise when you release the past and forgive everyone? What opportunities do you think could arise? So let's close this lesson with an affirmative prayer, always in the first person. In this moment, I recognize the infinite power of healing, love, and abundance that flows through me. I release all that no longer serves me, fear, worry, doubt, any concern, and I open my heart to trust, peace, and joy. I know that I'm supported by life in every way possible, and that everything I need is always available. It's always provided. I let go of the past. I forgive everyone, and I now step into the future with confidence and ease. I'm grateful for this healing. I'm grateful for the peace that fills my life and for the love that surrounds me and fills me. And so it is. So now it's your time. We're going to turn the microphones over to you, the cameras, and I like to ask the question that I ask often. What has it been like being you this past week? I hope you're reflecting on your thoughts, knowing that your thoughts are shaping your experiences. So we're going to turn the cameras over. I look forward to hearing from as many people as possible. No one has to share, but we certainly like to hear from everyone. Please say hello if you're new and where you're from. Thank you. We'll see you the other side of this break.